Hey, Cub fans! Thanks for joining us on Cubs 24/7, where Randy talks Cubs, and we're going to talk Cub prospect Luis Vazquez today. And before I dive into the details on Luis, I just want to ask you, what do you know about Luis Vazquez? Anything? Have you heard of him? Most of us haven't. Luis Vazquez, he's on the 40-man roster. He's number 21 on the prospect list. And nobody's talking about him. Nobody's heard anything about him. So the question is, well, he surfaced on the top 30 list. The Cubs put him on the 40-man roster after the season was over to protect him from Rule 5 draft. Must be something there. Well, there is, and it's a very interesting story. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Luis Vazquez, 24 years old, shortstop. 6 foot 165, born October 10th, 1999. He's out of Puerto Rico, played high school ball at Alberto Melendez Torres High School in Orocovis, Puerto Rico. Orocovis is in the center of the island. He was drafted by the Cubs in the 14th round in 2017, right out of high school. And his career to this point, since 2017, just think of a slick fielding shortstop, makes all the plays, got a great arm, but he doesn't hit. He's not hitting well enough to warrant, promotions. So he spent the vast majority of his professional career playing in the lower minor leagues, not even breaking up and playing into full season ball until 2021. And the reason was not his glove; he wasn't hitting. So he didn't stick in full season ball until 2021, so just recently. And the Cubs hadn't protected him before either. So all of a sudden, they protect him after the 2023 season. Well, what's happened? Well, he's been one of the best defensive infielders in the system really since they drafted him. But he just hadn't offered much at the plate, so he just was running under the radar. But all of a sudden in 2023, Luis Vazquez turns into this hitter. He obliterates pretty much in every category all of his previous career highs. I mean, all of a sudden he's a different hitter. So in 2023, he played for Iowa and Tennessee, and I'm just going to walk through his numbers for 2023, Iowa and Tennessee totals, just to give you a feel for it. Now, this was a light hitting shortstop prior. So he plays in 124 games between Iowa and Tennessee, has 454 at-bats. He hits .271, and when you look back at his stat line, and it's vast, he's been playing a lot. There wasn't uncommon to see 171 under 200 batting averages. So all of a sudden he hits .271 here in 2023. He's on base was .361. And he slugged .456, had an OPS of .817. That's not the stat line of a weak-hitting defensive shortstop. He hit 20 home runs in 124 games. His previous career number was 27. He came into 2023 with career homers of 27, and he hits 20 in 124 games. Had 80 RBIs. Previous high in any season, I think it was the season before, was 43. So all of a sudden, Luis Vazquez is hitting for slug. He hit .271. He's getting on base .361. And he's one of the best defensive shortstops in the system. Cubs have rarely played him anywhere else. He plays shortstop. In fact, in 2023, played shortstop except for 6 games at second base. Fielding percentage .981, made 8 errors all of 2023. Luis Vazquez. I saw him when he popped onto the 40-man roster. I saw it. I didn't think much of it at the time. He's been on my list to check out. I just haven't gotten to him. Been spending a lot of time with the big names, Luis Vazquez, I hadn't heard of him. So I start running through his numbers, and I'm like, my God, Luis Vazquez. Let's take a look at his scouting numbers. They scout him about what you would think they would scout him at. Plus arm, plus field. Below average hit, below average run. So the scouting numbers pretty much describe what he did in his first 4 or 5 years, but it doesn't describe what he did in 2023. Well, what changed? Well, I guess what he did is he lowered his hands. His stance, he's standing tall, but his hands are about chest high and tight. And I guess what that did is it leveled out his swing a little bit. He's hitting the ball farther and harder. Well, he's not 17, 18 years old now. He's matured, so he's stronger. And his confidence level's up, so he's making a more concerted effort to try to pull the ball. He still has a little bit of a chase in his game, and but they think he's got 15 home run per year power. They describe his speed as fringy, but it's not so much fringy that it causes him range issues. He's got plenty of range, but it does inhibit his ability to be much of a factor on the base paths. So he's not fast enough to be disruptive on the base paths, but he's plenty good to cover ground. So he's got plus range, he's got a plus arm, and they say he's got a really good internal clock, and he makes all the plays at shortstop. They describe him as a gifted defender. A gifted defender at shortstop, makes all the plays, plus arm, good internal clock, can play second base, can play third base, 271, 361 on base, 817 OPS, 20 home runs in between Iowa and Tennessee. Luis Vazquez. So I watched the video on him. Yeah, that's what it looks like. He looks confident at the plate, makes all the plays. looks really good, guy. This whole prospect list, this spring training is going to be amazing. Luis Vazquez is going to compete. We'll see what he does, but what he did in 2023, if I just gave you those numbers and said, hey, we got a slick fielding infielder that can play all the positions, like gifted infielder, and by the way, here's what he did offensively. Well, you can't ignore that. Luis Vazquez on the 40-man roster. Make mental note. Luis Vazquez in spring training 2024. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. We're almost there. So I'm glad I got a chance to introduce you guys to Luis Vazquez, and I hope you enjoyed it. I did. We'll look forward to watching him as the spring unfolds here. Thanks for joining us here on Cubs 24/7, where Randy talks Cubs. If you feel the inclination, hit that subscribe button for me. I really appreciate it. And go Cubs, go.